It is a Talker Tuesday with talkbacks and a prize. So, as we were saying yesterday, where are the Minnesota Vikings better into the 2026 season? We had to shut out a bevy of cool talkbacks due to a technical mishap at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. We had some technical mishap terrorism. Abbott went running to a Comrex, Abbott went to running a Comrex from St. Louis Park to Egan because he was told we didn't have one at the Purple Practice Palace, but we did, and boss was so frustrated at the communicative L, he lost feeling in his other foot and had to pull over until said feeling returned and he could accelerate and hit the brakes. We always loved that one. It was controversial, but here we are. Here we are with an untapped talker where football always wins and mega sweet talkbacks to the free iHeartRadio app are in the air.
Boom!
So fire up some anew. Fire up some of those talkbacks anew. We ain't leaving. It's June. It's June, and we never go to the finals. We never go to the finals. We're not leaving this talkback on the cutting room floor. By the way, so like this market and let's say the Wild, Wolves, and Vikings, a little theme developing here. Good but not good enough. Close but no cigar. When does the cream rise to the top? I was looking up something yesterday. At least it ain't Buffalo. So this is FIBA, Fairness in Buffalo Act. With all due respect to Sabres and Bills fans, sorry you're catching this metaphorical stray, this symbolic stray. But the Bills and the Sabres have played a combined 122 seasons, never won a crown.
Oh my God.
So FIBA, Fairness in Buffalo Act, at least it ain't that. And then they had a basketball team named the Buffalo Braves. They were there for 8 years, never won a division title, won one playoff series, and then bolted to San Diego to become the Clippers.
I always love that one.
So at least we ain't that, and maybe more on that tomorrow. But we are who we are, and with no teams in the Stanley Cup Final or the NBA Finals, here we are with an untapped talker where football always wins. And we're looking for talkbacks courtesy of Northern Fire. In what ways are the Vikings better into this season? We established it yesterday, amplified it. It'll be amplified at the end of today's radio show via a Vikings version of Covenant Court. And what was established yesterday before the technological mishaps transpired? The quarterback situation here is better than it was before, than it was last year. Quarterback situation is better than it was last year. The running game will be more diverse and assumedly better. But what else? Talkbacks, free iHeart Radio app. We got a Northern Fire prize, and here's the con.
Yeah, first of all, Talker Tuesday is brought to you by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. And as part of that, when you send in the talkbacks, one of you is going to win a $25 gift card to Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply with the talkback of the day. You can call it the tastiest talkback of the day. I don't really care what you frame it up as.
Oh, sure you do.
But in the end, one of you is going to walk away with $25 to Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. So hit that microphone on the free iHeart Radio app and give us up to your best 30 seconds. So before the dog pulled the cord out of the wall yesterday and sent us into a 35-ish minute tailspin of technological related L's.
Abbott can't feel his feet.
And I can't say enough about Cole Mayer, by the way, and some of the VEN gentlemen that helped us yesterday get back on the radio. But when we went dark, I was in the process of explaining why I think there are multiple ways in which Juwan Jennings has made our squad better. And I think there's a connective piece there with Kyler Murray and how this quarterback room got stronger over the course of this offseason thus far. But Juwan Jennings, as much as we love Jalen Naylor, best of luck in Vegas. One thing that Juwan Jennings offers that Jalen did not and has not, at least yet, he's got a chance to grow, is the polish of the position. His nickname, Speedy, was Speedy for a reason, Jalen Naylor. He could run fast. But the polish of Juwan Jennings right off the bat is how the third wide receiver spot got better. The grit and the physicality. Now, Kyler Murray, one aspect of his game that we discussed yesterday and how that's implemented within the offense is the run piece. When he decides to run. You mentioned you spent some time looking at specific plays to see is there a trigger for Kyler that puts him in a spot where he makes the decision to go. And how elusive, how dangerous can that be to opposing defenses? Well, as part of that, Jennings, the pass catcher, we can get to that momentarily. How about Juwan Jennings, the run blocker, PA? Now, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, willing, but are they as physical as Juwan Jennings? I would say no. I would also say that Juwan Jennings, just, again, watch this if you get a chance to. It's all available on YouTube and other spots. Juwan Jennings wants to fight people when he's blocking PA. He is so aggressive, so good on the block. It's like having an extra tight end out there, frankly. But he's a tight end who's actually a wide receiver who has the polish to run the routes, the savviness post-catch, from a position standpoint, from a chemistry standpoint. I love Juwan Jennings in this offense. So whether it's helping Kyler in the pass game, whether it's helping Kyler in the run game, one way right off the bat, PA, that I think this team got much better is specifically at that spot with Juwan Jennings. Massive pickup for the Purple.
And Jalen Naylor makes markedly more money, dramatically more money than Juwan Jennings. So that to some inherently would mean, okay, well, he's a better receiver. And this is, this would be FIJA, Fairness and Jalen Naylor Act. He's not catching a symbolic stray when we say Juwan Jennings is a better overall receiver than Jalen Naylor.
Right.
Even though he doesn't make the same amount of cash because of what Bacan just laid out from a run blocking standpoint. By the way, Juwan Jennings, 2 for 2 passing in his career, both touchdowns. So there's that. And when Ayuk was not on fire and Debo went to Washington and Kittle was hurt every other game, well, they had to rely on Juwan in certain spots that he hadn't really been relied upon, and he came through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Juwan Jennings amplifies and complements the bit with 18 and Jordan Addison, and here we are.
Do you remember, 2016, we draft Laquan Treadwell? And right out of the gates, one of the biggest assets that Laquan immediately brought to the table was, is it highlight speed? Is it 50-50 contested catches? He's a great run blocker, PA.
Right.
Oh. Well, in 2016, this team did not have Justin Jefferson. This team did not have Jordan Addison. And I do want to add on to that momentarily that I'm not saying that run blocking is Juwan Jennings' best asset. I think his overall polish is what you'll see from Jennings in this offense, and I'm super excited about it. I think the team got better. Another place where, and I know you're going to touch on a line on the other side of the line of scrimmage, I believe you will, but I'm going to touch on the offensive line. And just kind of tongue-in-cheek, it can't be worse than it was a year ago, right? But just look at this for a moment. You get Christian Darrisaw back and another in a healthy offseason off what was an incredibly troubling and frustrating 2025.
And you got a new coach.
When Darrisaw, and you get the new coach. Now, time's going to tell. I mean, Chris Cooper, who immediately was swept up by the Philadelphia Eagles, I assume he belongs in the NFL. I like Chris. Chris has a track record and a resume over the course of many years. So, new coach, is it just new voice and then new day, new dawn for this unit? We'll see. With that said, when Darrisaw is happy and healthy, Darrisaw is one of the better offensive linemen, specifically one of the better left tackles in the entire NFL. That's going to be better in 2026 when it ain't topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
Donovan Jackson, he will be better as a second-year left guard than he was as a rookie. And I'm looking at Will Fries, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't know what better looks like in the context of Will Fries' game. Maybe it's just consistency over the course of an entire season. You can tell me if I'm wrong, PA. I thought Will Fries' game kind of elevated or evolved over the course of the season. And as a free agent pickup, you want guys to hit the ground running. I get it. He was coming off, I believe, a lower leg fracture that kept him to just 5 games in 2024. I thought Will Fries was so much better, and I liked what I saw in Week 16, for instance, than what I saw during the first few weeks of the season. So the evolution of Will Fries, and then let's get Brian O'Neill 100%. Let's get Brian. And by the way, I wonder, mini camp conversations later in the show, I wonder if Brian O'Neill, is he going to suit up and participate in mandatory mini camp?
Oh, come on. He's not going to be a hold-in.
There's a contract to be discussed. We shall see. But Brian O'Neill in the mix, it just, of all the things that went the wrong way in 2025, just go back, if you can allow your mind to do it, and just remember how ridiculous the carousel was in the offensive line. I'll be so bold right now and to say, and of course he'll get every practice and every rep to specifically focus on the center spot.
Yeah.
I'll take 17 games of Blake Brandel at center versus what we saw last year, and I'll take that without even knowing exactly how it's going to look yet in 2026. The carousel at the offensive line and all the combos. Hey, it's Joe Huber playing games. That's not supposed to happen.
Down with that, Joe.
When we were in the spot, we were trying to raise a kid QB and trying to execute a high-level offense, and obviously it didn't come to fruition last year. So simply by nature of a healthy offensive line, the right names in the right spots, we can go back in time and say, man, I wish we would have addressed center in the draft. Well, Sam Hecht. Yeah, I like that name. Is that going to work out? We shall see. I think the offensive line is a spot where you can confidently say, simply by nature of health, that they're going to be better in 2026.
Fairly laid out, but I find my gaze being cast the way of this. All I can think about is pineapple on pizza being an assault on one's own taste buds.
I always love that one.
But I have
pineapple's gross on pizza.
Well, I have a tendency to agree with everything you just said, but with this TV in the studio on ESPN, I'm recognizing that hasn't been great on the offensive end, but Cat's defense has been spectacular in at least 3 spots where he stifled and created a turnover. Karl Anthony Towns and his defense, who knew? It's crazy.
Yeah, that was courtesy of the NBA game last night. Yeah, fun game. Wemby making it interesting, finding their way to victory. Another way, and again, I believe, we can get into the defensive line. There are some other tangible ways in which I believe this team got better. But I'm just going to throw this out there, PA. The schedule is a heck of a lot more palatable than it was last year. The gauntlet played out, right? You split overseas, but that was indeed an energy suck. Then you're out of the bye. Philly and then short week Chargers, that was tough. Got throttled at LA in primetime. At Detroit, it's tough, but you find a way to win. Then it's the Ravens and Bears. Could have had the Ravens game. Should have had the Bears game. Duvernay, though. And then you lose at the Pack and eventual Super Bowl champs. You're shut out. We have Max Brosmer thrown at the Ernie Jones, and it was a disaster. This time around, Week 8 through Week 11, you're starting at Detroit, then Buffalo. You're at Lambeau with Parsons healthy, and then you go to Mexico City. That's this year's gauntlet. But the schedule offers 5 of the final 7 at home on the back end. A few early games you got to have with Miami, New Orleans, the Week 1 border battle. Let's get that one right out of the gates. I think the schedule is a lot more palatable in 2026 than it was just a year ago as well, PA.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And there's much more. We will unfurl something called Vikings Covenant Court in the final segment of the radio show. And we will present some situations to get squared away for training camp that legitimately should make the Minnesota Vikings better in 2026 compared to last year. Got that 8.5 for the season wins total, right?
I always love that one.
9 to noon's here to help you make money. And we want to amplify it by informing you of where we believe the 2026 Minnesota Vikings are better than last year. A year, the quarterback room in totality was not as squared away or good as it is this year. And the quarterback matters a ton. Now, the defense ended up being one of the better in the NFL over the last month and a half, 2 months. this defense has things to prove, including a couple of kids at defensive tackle who are going to have to come through.
Yeah.
But through all of that last year, they won 9 games. Season wins total 8.5.
I always love that one.
Talkbacks tied to all this. Free iHeartRadio app. Northern Fire Prize to be given away. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. Courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes the scribe Ben Gessling joining us in studio to chat about Vikings minicamp, which begins today. We have 3 days of Vikings minicamp, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we will get into the scribe's opinion on why 3 and not 2, plus much more. Nordo produces. I'm Paul Allen. Good morning. This is 9 to noon.
This is 9 to noon on the Fan.
Good morning, PA. Logan and Eau Claire. I got to agree with you guys on your take about Juwan Jennings kind of filling a spot for us. I think we lost a lot from TJ Hawkinson last year. I don't think he quite put up the same numbers that he has in the past. And I think just having another body there to do kind of the same thing and maybe a little bit more when it comes to blocking is going to be great for our team. I think Juwan Jennings is an amazing pickup, and it's going to make us a lot better this year.
Appreciate you, Logan. That's the first talkback. A Northern Fire Prize is at stake. Talker Tuesdays provided by Northern Fire, and for that we thank you. Is this T.J. Hawkinson's final season on the team? That's something that has popped up before. From if you go to doom scrolling and you look at opinions of others, people have wondered that. Then you get the Frank Smith effect, which we'll hit on hard in the final segment of the radio show today. But having Jennings, who got some junkyard dog to him, has some selfless to him, likes to mix it up for the benefit of others. Only time will tell, Davey.
To the Talkback machine, free iHeartRadio app. A lot of people talk, well, I like this one here.
Hey, Chaz here from St. Cloud with Kyler and JJ. Ty goes to the runner, so that would be Kyler. And so if they're going to make it happen, you just got to really blow them away. Otherwise, I don't know why people get talking so much about trading away J.J. McCarthy when you've seen other teams in our own division have a kid on the bench for a few years. I don't care if it feels awkward. Let him sit there, let him learn, and let's see what he can do next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I can't necessarily say, let's see what he can do next year. Thanks for the talk back. Because you want, as a Vikings fan, you should want Kyler Murray to play so well that they want him back next year.
Yeah.
And he wants to be here next year. But we'll get into this a little bit in the final segment. I believe Carson Wentz will be the backup quarterback to the starter, which is strange because the belief also is you have Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy battling for the starting spot. So wouldn't you think like the loser there would go to the 2? Maybe they will. But I think Wentz, I'd make him favored to be the backup. Now, if McCarthy loses this race for starter stardom into the game against the Green Bay Packers, then if he's your third quarterback, he's on the active roster.
Yeah,
we're not putting him on the practice squad and losing him. So then I guess the next layer, this is real mid-July, late July, early August-ish, is if he's not the starting quarterback, how does he handle it? Do we really care how he handles it? The team is in control of J.J. McCarthy's professional life until it's not, until his contract runs out. So, if I think preseason games this year, what do we have? We're at the Giants, and we get the Ravens here with the joint practice before it, then at Denver against the anti-Vikes Broncos. With the preseason games this year, whichever quarterback is not going to start down and then getting down to Brosmer, they're going to play in these preseason games. So, if it's McCarthy, if it's Wentz, Brosmer in the conversation, it might enhance the offensive output or entertainment level of these preseason games. It's a very fluid situation.
I haven't given a ton of thought in terms of if he loses it, how does he take it? But now I am thinking about that and how much that necessarily matters. Right. And, the idea of trading McCarthy, hearing conversation about it, this is why the Vikings would want to do that. You start talking about years of control. He's got 2 years left, and that'll be something that's potentially enticing to other teams. But on his end, would it be a situation where if he doesn't get the starting job, and as it plays out in your scenario, then Carson Wentz would be the number 2. Mm-hmm. You can't put him on the practice squad, as you said. He's gone in 10 seconds to another squad, draft equity and all that. Would he precipitate? Like, it'll be, and you're never going to get the right answer, so this is all hypothetical, but I do ponder, I wonder how J.J. McCarthy sees his own lot in life. How does he see his own 10 games? Does he see it as reading into or hypercritical of his own inadequacies and mistakes that were made in his first opportunities to start in the NFL? Is there but the O-line did this? Well, but this circumstance put me in this spot. I just wonder how he sees his own lot in life. Would he ever take this idea? I go from being a top 10 pick. Now you're putting me in the 3rd spot, and I'm football's e-bug. No, I don't want to do that. And would he try to and find his way to another team? But could he? Could he go and find a competition in which he realistically got a chance to start with another team in the NFL? Sorry to clomp. It's just I'm just curious how he's mentally handling part of this too, because he's going to say the right things for the most part with the media, and he is out there trying to get better. He's working hard. Nobody's questioning that end of it. I just wonder how mentally inside he's like, if I don't get this spot, like, is my future in Minnesota done? Do I think so highly of myself that I could start or should start? Do I deserve anything at this point off 10 starts in 2025? Just an interesting spot for young JJ.
Would you trade him to the L.A. Chargers right now for a 3rd-round pick?
Oh my gosh.
Asking a question. It's early June, and we don't have teams in the finals.
A 3rd-round pick?
3rd-round pick, McCarthy, L.A. Chargers.
For J.J. McCarthy. And,
I don't want to trade J.J. McCarthy.
I don't want to give up on him.
I mean, having a deepish quarterback stable is fresh. I mean, it's, there are just so many things percolating right now with me.
I mean, there's more upside for JJ than there is with Carson Wentz. Do you agree with that?
There should be.
Short-term advantage Carson, long-term advantage JJ.
There should be.
Yeah.
Unless McCarthy can't push through whatever he needs to push through.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I don't think it can be denied that things are safer with Wentz.
Yeah.
I mean, right now you're in a safer situation if you have to play him.
Well, the big word that I've been using with these QBs, man, is trust.
It's trust.
You absolutely trust Carson Wentz from a basic standpoint of running the offense.
But it's I say this a fair amount, and I don't want people to like build it up like I'm running down Kyler Murray. All right? Kyler Murray has basically done nothing during his career that would earn him the right for anybody to look at him and say, you're the absolute starter. Tell me I'm wrong. Talkbacks, tell me I'm wrong. Okay, won Rookie of the Year in a bad race. But you did.
Well,
you said it when I was on a vocal maintenance day one day. We have a punter who passes and a passer who punts.
That's correct.
Okay, well, right there, I mean, that ain't great.
The equity in this particular case, though, and we could frame it up and replace JJ in this conversation with many QBs in the NFL, and I think you'd be dead accurate. In this particular case, you can be, in some ways, you can call it lazy, you can call it simple, however you want to call it. Hey, that guy's played in 87 games.
Yep.
This guy's played in 10.
That's lazy.
But I think there's credence to it. I think there's credence to the equity
between those two.
But this is the particular case.
Right.
This is the case of the Minnesota Vikings. So
I get it.
So you're right, and that's why I said it. I think it is lazy in some ways, or simple, or it's very surface level.
No, I know what you mean.
But I think there is a basis in this particular case where, hey, that guy's played in 87. That guy's played in 10. That guy throws punts to people once in a while. Ooh, he also does this, that, and the other thing. He can throw over the middle of the field. He can do some of this stuff.
That guy can't stay on the field.
That guy can't stay on the field. So
it's very fair, Davey.
So I think he's done enough. Maybe again, that comes down to the trust. Do you trust Kyler more than you trust JJ based on what you've seen?
Well, with trust, so like the term by faith, involves trust, because with Kyler Murray and the Minnesota Vikings offense and Justin and Jordan and TJ and all the components involved, including the best left tackle behind whom he's ever played. Justin Jefferson, the best receiver with whom he's ever played. Kevin O'Connell, the most accomplished and best play caller with whom he's ever played. Where's the pressure? Pressure's on Kyler.
Yeah.
Just like it was Sam. And Sam came through. Now, Sam's arm is better than Kyler Murray's. Sam Darnold's arm is better than Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins has a good arm. Kyler has a good arm, but I just don't want to, I don't, want to build up the narrative that because Sam handled the pressure and it worked, and then he went and got paid, and then he went and won a Super Bowl and stayed good, that's how it's going to work with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
It's going to be different because there have to be running components that are called plays with Kyler Murray that you wouldn't do with Darnold, Wentz, or maybe McCarthy. So that's going to be different. But it's incumbent upon Kyler Murray to know by the time we get to training camp, specifically the joints against the Ravens and then the Green Bay game, assuming he starts, that he is able to absorb the voluminous nature of what's required from the playbook.
Yeah.
And when the play comes in and you have 5 or 6 tentacles, getting to the right one when the coach is not in your ear.
Right.
I can't say that he can't do it, but I can't say that he can. Now, with Darnold, it was different. Some of the players with whom Murray played, DeAndre Hopkins at a certain point had some high end to him.
As good as it got for a very long time, specifically the catching.
Now, so with DeAndre and Larry Fitzgerald Jr., so he caught them, DeAndre, skeletal remains or lack thereof, and Fitz right at the end of his career.
Yeah.
All right. Now, like his dog, his best friend, when he played with Christian Kirk, he put Christian Kirk on the type of season that ended up getting him paid an exponential amount of money.
Like $20 million a year.
So that clicked. Offensive line, not as good as what he's going to have here. I mean, it just continues to astound me that you would run an offense for 2 consecutive years. Granted, 1 year, Kyler won the Rookie of the Year. Statistical wherewithal or equity was not that great, but nevertheless, he won it. He was in the winner's circle posing for pictures, and everybody was cashing bets. And that end of the equation, that's all that matters.
You do look at his stats and go, huh?
But he had a coach in Cliff Kingsbury who did not put him under center one time his first 2 years. That's amazing. I mean, that's amazingly ridiculous that something would operate that way, and you would expect the quarterback to improve as his career goes on. So then, like Drew Petzing, former wide receivers coach here, offensive coordinator for the Kitties now, Drew is from the Kevin Stefanski school of thought, where I ain't cutting my nose off despite my face. So yeah, he's better in shotgun because he's 5'10", and it's easier to see over offensive linemen and get yourself out in space. Yes, he's better in shotgun, and I understand why. But if you think any form of play action plays, you think any form of play passing is going to be big time to Trey McBride, well, if it is, he has to learn to do it under center. So Petzing, to a certain extent, and the coordinator before, they started doing it with Kyler, and it was getting better as the years went on.
Yeah.
So it's, fortunately that transpired before he got here, because play action passing from under center, all the dogs ever to be the best dogs, they do it expertly. And if you want to get to the Super Bowl and have one of these core four teams stop being good to very good, but not good enough with close but no cigar terrorism, all of this has to take place.
Yeah.
If he starts, I'm not like Darnold was throwing to Robbie Anderson and Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble. So Kyler had Fitz at the end, DeAndre near the end, and Trey McBride, top 3 tight end in the NFL. What happened to Trey? He blew up, because granted he was one of the only options, but you don't think the defense knows that he's one of the only options, but Kyler still found a way to get it to him.
True.
That's good.
It's a good thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
Expectations here are a little higher, brother.
They are.
The play action from under center, that has worked big time with Kevin O'Connell. And
did he even get to like 20-25% even with Petzing? I think Petzing, to your point, even kind of had to kind of see the vision a bit to just say, this is what I'm working with. The physical, that's what I have to work with. Right. I don't think he even got above a quarter, maybe 30% in under center snaps.
Yeah, that ain't going to work here. Okay, Darnold was good at play action and became elite.
Became really good at it.
Right. And there were play action plays en masse executed in a little game called the Super Bowl where he connected on some key ones.
He did.
Some key passes. So all of the quarterback room is better because 1 through 4 is better than 1 through whatever with what you had last year.
Yeah.
You had McCarthy with 0 starts, and you had Wentz, who got here 5 minutes before the season began. And the fact that they were able to win the games they won with Carson, with him learning the playbook on the fly, that just shows you truly how good and squared away Carson Wentz can be.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be Kyler.
I think
that's got to be Kyler.
But getting back to the trust side of it, so you're 100% correct in what you've laid out in terms of the steps ahead. There's a cerebral aspect of this. There has to be, I go 80, you got to go at least 20 in terms of an adaptation to what Kevin O'Connell's going to ask of him. But there's a reason that there was a significant market, and it was national news that Arizona was paying the tab for Kyler.
How about that?
They didn't go get Tyrod Taylor for $2 million. Right. They didn't go get Kyle Allen, or I think Kenny Pickett was available. They got him because of those 87 games and the talent and the possibilities that exist with Kyler. And so I think...
But see, Kyler's situation last year has an asterisk.
A little bit.
No, a lot. It should. It's a big asterisk. Came off injury.
Yeah.
Bad injury. And the coaching staff got fired. Okay?
Did, yes.
That's a big asterisk.
Welcome to Green Bay, Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of ancillary things that were happening within that covenant, so much so the owner felt, I got to replace this whole thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that
at one point they
sways the way of Kyler too.
Yeah, it does. They made the decision, it sounds like, and we're not in that room down there in the greater Phoenix area. It sounds like they just kind of said, "Nah, we're done. We're gonna give Jacoby the opportunity to finish out these games." Yeah. Which is an odd thing to say. Jacoby always, I mean, long-term equity is a backup, but to the idea that we're just not going to use you anymore, Kyler.
Yeah.
I mean, that is part of it.
But just listen to everything we just said over the last 9.5 minutes. Yet we still firmly believe in our hearts, and by the way, this is the reality.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
The quarterback situation here this year is better than last year.
It is better.
It is.
I think it's much better.
And we won 9 games last year despite all that. It's 8.5. See what I'm saying? Can I do anything else for you guys? Are you kidding me? Ridiculous. Stop complaining about the gas prices and the grocery prices and property taxes. And just scoop. Handle business.
To that talkbacker, though, Ty goes from
that was a good line.
Where I sit in early June, I agree. Ty goes to the runner, and that is Kyler.
I don't think it's a tie.
Well, that's where I was going to go. I don't even think it's level at this point, and we're going to talk about it later. And just the covenant court that it is.
Think it's not?
That trust. You trust Carson can run the offense. You trust the potential, the optimism, and the possibilities, the talent that surrounds Kyler. Can you trust J.J. McCarthy until you see him on the field in a game that counts? I'd have a hard time trusting.
See, if J.J., when we say how will J.J. handle either being the backup or being the 3.
Yeah.
And I'm quite fond of J.J. McCarthy, so this comes with respect. I don't care.
Right.
You've earned your way to the highest level, and if where with McCarthy, I would have sympathy or empathy. If I caught steam from multiple sources who would know that he outplayed Kyler under the cover of darkness, or he played with Kyler, and it was like a 51-49 or a 50-50, a photo finish. Thank you. And it can't be disputed he knows the playbook better.
Right.
But they're using Kyler.
Yeah.
Well, that would piss me off.
That would make me mad.
And if I'm JJ, it'd piss me off too.
Yeah.
All right. Topic change, 9 to noon, continues around the corner, KFAN.
This is PA.
Radio show. Carolina and Vegas are back at it tonight with the Golden Knights leading that spine-tingling series 2-1. And the first 3 games have been excellent. In fact, as mentioned yesterday with Mick Tocchet, that there are luminaries around the National Hockey League that are saying the first 3 games of this series have been the best first 3 games of any Stanley Cup final in the history of the Stanley Cup final. So we must have elephant-like memories to be able to go back to the first 3 games of all series, but that's fine because contextually speaking, whether the first 3 between Carolina and Vegas have been the best in the history of hockey or not, they have been fantastic. And we have another one tonight, and it's on KFAN. Now, just when many thought the demise of the San Antonio Spurs was upon us, it turns out that take was greatly exaggerated. San Antonio beat the Knicks at the Garden last night, 115-111. That was a quality game. The first 3 of this series have all been quality games, and Knickerbockers Nation is tripping out over the officiating. San Antonio shot 32 free throws. New York shot 22. And there was a second-half moment where Spurs guard Stephon Castle ran through Jalen Brunson like he was 09 Adrian Peterson planting William Gay into the Heinz Field turf, and it was ruled a common foul last night. Knicks Nation went nuts. Knicks Nation was all wound up. It wasn't deemed a flagrant, but a common offensive foul. And Knicks Nation was so wound up last night, and there are reasons for it, as we'll get into momentarily. Knicks coach Mike Brown was curious about the 14-3 free throw advantage for San Antonio in quarter number 3. Now, Karl Anthony Towns didn't exactly see it that way. After the game, he said, quote, "That ain't cost us the game." Quote, "That ain't cost us the game." Turned the ball over, didn't execute. Didn't do what got us 13 straight wins in a row. That's how you lose a game. We didn't do what we've been doing for 13. We decided to do something different, and it ain't going to work. End quote. That takes us back to Timberwolves regular season. When I hear that, when I read that, it takes us back to a time Timberwolves would lose a close game, and Anthony Edwards or Rudy Gobert or Dante DiVincenzo after a game would say, if we run the coach's plays and if we play the way the coach requests us to play, we're a pretty darn good team. Karl Anthony Towns is kind of saying that there, is that they didn't do what got them to 13 consecutive wins. But consider that. The New York Knicks had won 13 consecutive playoff games until San Antonio beat them last night. Now, there were 13 turnovers to 8. All right, so the Knicks had 13 turnovers. The Spurs had 8. That played into it. Knicks dead. Knicks dead last night, and the series is 2-1 New York, with another one at Madison Square Garden coming up tomorrow night. Now the fans, all right, the fans were vociferous after the game about several things. They were hating on the officiating, specifically the Stephon Castle, Jalen Brunson moment, where Castle just ran through him, and it was deemed a common offensive foul. All right, Brunson banged up his back a little bit, but he's a gamer. Jalen Brunson, went to the foul line and hit both shots. But fans were all wound up at the Garden last night because many missed most of the first quarter due to enhanced security and super long lines to get in. The President of the United States of America took in the game last night, so they had enhanced security measures, super long lines to get in. Knicks fans, basketball fans were like, "What happened? I'm watching it on my phone. I'm supposed to be in there. I paid $7,000 for this seat, and I'm missing half the first quarter." The New Yorkers entered the Garden all pissed off and took it out on the refs all game. That was kind of funny. That part was kind of funny. The taking the angst and the anxiety out on the officials, and sometimes I could understand what the fans were seeing and or talking about, because I must concede I'm not of the conspiratorial variety, and I don't believe there are mandates or initiatives that covertly are sent out to veteran referees to purposely call more fouls on the New York Knicks to get Wemby and his gang to the line so the series can extend. And why do they want the series to extend? Because then owners of teams make more money because of the seats sold and stuff like that. And then you got advertising with the ESPN family and ABC. I'm not that guy. I'm not of the conspiratorial variety. I don't make it a habit to make claims that felonies are being committed by a commissioner of a league and subsequently his employees, the referees, purposely calling fouls against a team to extend a series. That's fixing a game. But nevertheless, there were some curious moments last night with some of the foul calls, and it just played into another high-end NBA game. You know, these series that are taking place right now, Stanley Cup Final and the NBA Finals, we have 6 games so far, and all of them have been amazing. The San Antonio Spurs were leading the New York Knicks in games 1 and 2 with 2 minutes or fewer to go and got run down by the Knicks. So then they're down 0-2. They go to the Garden, they win. New Yorkers missing half the first quarter, arguing, and there's consternation, and there's anxiety and angst and teeth gnashing while in line because they paid so much money for their seats and they're missing half a quarter. But nevertheless, when they get in there, their team may not have won, but to a man, a sports snob to sports snobs, if you watch these like I do and like sports snobs do, because you like this for a diversion, you like high-end sports activity as a distraction, we're getting paid. I mean, we're getting paid in these games. For instance, like that Carolina-Vegas game in Game 3, the first game in Vegas. Carolina's down 2-1 in the Stanley Cup Final. Game 4's on KFAN tonight. But they're getting killed in Game 3, and they score 3 goals in 40 seconds to provide thrills. Now, they eventually lose in overtime, but that thing was absolutely terrific. And here's the question. When it comes to Minnesota sports fans, is this a time of the year that you just kind of tune it out? You just kind of tune it out and make it hot fun in the summertime, and I'm just going to get away from it all, except low-key follow the Twins as background noise or background action as we barbecue for hot fun in the summertime, elite meals. Do you just turn it off this time of the year, like until Vikings training camp, and that's when you crank it up again? Because if you do, if you're of that variety, the 9 to noon suggestion would be just to have these games on and, like, like low-key watch them, because this is high-end drama. I mean, some are saying it's the highest of the high ever to high. I'm just saying that it's absolutely fantastic. It's unpredictable. You're seeing the best of the very best execute their toil at the very highest level. And when it comes to sports being a diversion, that's what we're in it for. But being based here in Minnesota, and of the core four at KFAN, 9 to noon being absolutely the most sports intensive, we just wonder when we don't get carried down the same age-old road we've traveled for so many years. So many years. Like, Wolves, when? Wild, when? Vikings, when? Wild, Dylan Larkin trade. First or second line centerman, first line centerman. That'd be sweet. Joel Eriksson goes to the second line. Keep everybody healthy. Advance to the conference finals. Get to the Stanley Cup final. Can you imagine state of hockey? If we were involved in the Stanley Cup final, we wouldn't care that it was June. We wouldn't care that it was hot fun in the summertime. We wouldn't care that Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, Tamika, and Antoine got all these camps to go to. Our squad is in the Stanley Cup final. That would be such an excellent sweat. But how do we get there? How do you go from being good to very good to elite, like we're watching now with Seth Jarvis, Sebastian Aho, Jack Eichel, and Brett Howden in the Stanley Cup final? How do we get there? How do we get there? Might have some talkback ability for tomorrow with this. Timberwolves, how do we get there? All right, so many people online have concocted trades. We got no Shams. We got no Woj bombs. We have no Doogie. We have no .com Tom making elite reports that, hey, this is going to happen from a trade standpoint. But if they trade for Giannis, if they trade for Ja Morant, if they trade for Zion Williamson, if they trade for whomever, Kyrie Irving, man, I'd walk down to Dallas and drive Kyrie Irving back if I had the opportunity to have him on our team, and I don't care what we give up, because Kyrie Irving's a dog. He knows what it's like to be elite of all elite ever at the most important time of the year, championship time of the year, championship June. Wolves, good to very good at times, but how do they get over the hump? Is it a trade that sends Julius Randle and or Rudy Gobert somewhere and we bring somebody else in? Is that the answer? We just want to be part of this party, man. We just, instead of using the Stanley Cup final, the NBA finals, and or the Super Bowl as a sports diversion for us, how about if we're just so immersed in it that 9 to noon, it's segment after segment after segment after segment after segment. And, you know, somewhere in early June, where our minds don't take us to a place where we're wondering if Jake Golday is going to play more inside linebacker, defensive end, or edge. And what's the battle between Golday and Bo Richter going to be like for the third edge spot for the Minnesota Vikings? Now, I'm heading to Vikings minicamp today, tomorrow, and Thursday, and there are compelling and intriguing things to be learned at this time of the year for the sports snob and you. So that's great. That's age old. Football always wins. We dig it. We always handle minicamp like that, and if I get lucky, maybe I'll get some drive-bys. Be able to play some drive-bys tomorrow. Put that to the side. Win. Wild win. Wolves win. Vikings win. Vikings haven't won a freaking playoff game since 2019. So all this makes me feel at this moment, because we're being carried down a road we have negotiated, traversed, and traveled so many times. Close, but no cigar. Good, but not good enough. And then you get to watch those who are elite. And when you employ some of the players that we have around here, Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Boldy, Brock Faber, Husey, Anthony Edwards, Justin Jefferson, the Gink is on fire. I mean, we got good players here. We don't want to travel down this road anymore. We don't want the metaphorical moguls. We don't want to be heading down a one-way street and like we missed the off-ramp sign, and now we just got to travel more and figure things out. That was about the stupidest analogy ever uttered in the history of 9 to Noon. 3-2. We just want to get to the final, the NBA Finals, and the Super Bowl. When? We just want to stop being good to very good, and we want to get to elite. That's what's happening right now. Hopefully everybody's appreciating it. Carolina, Vegas on KFAN tonight. Series is elite. Spurs and Knickerbockers tomorrow night, 2-1 Knicks. That series is elite. You're listening to 9 to Noon at KFAN. Back after this.
You're listening live to Paul Allen and 9 to Noon on iHeartRadio and FM 100.3 KFAN, The Fan.
From the 1-800 Ask Gary